Welcome back to build log number 4, where I am adventuring down here in the Nether, trying to figure out how to build useful things and things that I like down here in the Nether. What's the plan for today? Well, before I start building any of those things that I have in mind to start building, oh my god, I said building like a million times. Okay, yeah, but before I start building, I do want to start looking at some basic pathing infrastructure, just because it's super treacherous to get down to me right now and a little bit confusing. So I just want to make sure that it'll be super easy to come find me down here in the Nether. And yes, the iron farm behind me does need to go. It was always meant to be temporary, but it's time to go ahead and replace this tiny little portal with the proper portal that will sit right here where the iron farm is. But yeah, I'm gonna let it have its last hurrah while I plan a little bit the big picture of what I want to build down here. Just trace out the size of the island and rough approximations of where the paths will go so that I can make sure I'm on track with my idea here. But that's what we're up to, so let's get started. And started I jumped right into tracing a rough approximation of where this island was going to go. You'll see me stop occasionally. This is me jumping into Freecam to check on things from different vantage points. And yeah, you could do this old school and like run to a vantage point far away and back and forth, but a lot quicker with Freecam, and I'm not opposed to using it for that. And I did eventually settle on very rough size and positioning that I liked, so I was able to move on and I started to look at the path a little bit more. The path I had there was really just a utility path, so I played with an idea of something curvier. Won't stay on that too much because I did eventually decide didn't love it too much after living with that path for a while, and I went with something a bit different, which I do actually really like. But yes, at this point I was pretty much complete sort of with my very basic idea of what I wanted to get to, and definitely did not die multiple times while doing this tracing, just falling into the lava as I removed blocks below my feet. Definitely did not happen. I lived the whole time, I promise. Now that I have the layout for the island sorted, it's time to start building it out, and the main block I'm going to use for that is going to be blackstone, as well as for the portal structure on top of it. So I do have some of it from mining early on, and my sister helped me get a bunch as well, but I want to make sure I don't run out, and a good way to get blackstone is simply from bartering, and to barter, you need gold. Now, Cal keeps promising to build a gold farm, but haven't seen one on the server yet, so in the meantime, I'm having to resort to this version of a gold farm where I aggro some zombified piglins and then have them chase me into a hole and just kill them. And it does a decent job. You get quite a lot of gold this way quite safely, but it is quite involved. Oh my gosh, spears we updated. Wow. Well, that certainly complicates this trick, but hopefully I can still get it working anyways. Is that a new thing? Did they add flame? Did they always have flame? Oh, wow. This little explanation was a lot more dangerous than I expected. But this basically sums it up. This is how I got a lot of the gold for the blackstone early on, and Cal did promise to build me one, and I did threaten him that if I didn't see a gold farm appear, I was going to go build a bad one, so... Okay, so I am here right now at my sister's horse field, where I have appropriated a section to build a temporary little melon farm. And the reason I've made this mess is that I tend to use her melon and pumpkin farm a lot to trade with her villagers to get emeralds. And in fact, I do that so often that I did come here a couple weeks ago and actually take the time to turn these guys into zombie villagers and heal them so that I get melon pumpkins at a good rate. But I do typically feel bad that I'm using all her store of melon and pumpkins, even though she does have a pretty good melon and pumpkin farm stored down here under her base. And because I use this so much, I do try to come down here and AFK a little bit because I think I probably use it more than she does. So when I see the stores are getting low, I never want her to be stuck with having empty stores. So I do come in AFK here, but as is the case with melon and pumpkin farms, the melons typically replenish more slowly than the pumpkins because of the way they break, and you don't get quite one melon per break. So I had some time today and I was a little bit bored, so I did decide to just make myself a melon field nearby, and whenever I needed a break, I was just going out to the field and picking melons so that I could replenish the melons a little bit more quickly. But I'm pretty much done with doing that, and she did discover it, so we did have a little funny moment where once again I've made a mess on her base. Sometimes when I'm AFKing her pumpkin farm, I'm actually growing trees out in her lawn here, and she doesn't like that either. But I did tell her I was going to clean it up, which of course I will. But before I do that, I thought maybe it would be funny if I just make this problem quite a lot worse before I fix it. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is make this melon problem a lot worse. Yeah, I'd say that's worse. Prank aside, I did manage to turn my attention back to completing the portal island, grabbing little clips and time lapses of the progress as I was working on it. So here is the portal island coming together. Now that my nether portal island is complete, I thought I would just take a quick step out here into the overworld to remind myself what the overworld portion of this portal looks like in comparison. And you'll see it's essentially the exact same design that I've done in the nether, just switched up the palette to be more nether appropriate, using blocks mostly that you can get in the nether, farm in the nether. And then a little bit of deep slate and a couple blocks like that just to round it out. But there you go. You can see it's exactly the same concept, just a different block palette. Additionally, in the nether side, I've added a couple little nether utilities, such as this respawn anchor, making it easy when you run by this thing or come through this thing, you'll be easily able to set your spawn in the nether here. Mostly useful for me who lives in the nether, and this is a good spot for me to respawn, and since you can't have beds down here, this is nice and convenient. I've also made it so that at the push of the button, you can add charges to the portal. So if you die, it's easy to remember to just push the button. And this is just a little dispenser system I've snuck under here. The dispenser is completely full of these glowstones, so we'll be good on charges pretty much forever, I think. And there's one on either side here. I did also think it was fun to think that this anchor had somehow like corrupted just the edges of this portal a little bit, so you can see there's a tiny bit of color difference in where this is, as if it's kind of leaking its anchorness into here. I thought that was kind of fun. Another little utility I put for the portal down here is over here. I've got this pressure plate where if I step on it, I get splashed with an 8-minute long fire resist potion. Particularly useful if I'm about to run somewhere with lots of fire. And it definitely did come in useful while I was trying to build the edges along here. I was able to just swim under the island and do that work. The last little thing to note about this whole area is the whole thing has been spawn proofed. I think the whole thing is in a soul sand valley, so the 3 mobs we're concerned with are Enderman and Skellies, which will spawn at levels of light that are, 7 and below. And so if I turn on my lighting util, you'll see, well, it's difficult to see because I haven't configured it for the nether since we updated, but yeah, you could run around and you'll see the lowest number you'll see is an 8. So yeah, there's lights hidden below certain carpets and in various little areas. And yeah, you can see it turned on my gas highlight there. So there's carpets and other little slabs and things like that to break up any gas spawnable area. So then the other thing I can talk about, I didn't really get footage of me working on this because I did it sort of in little pieces as in when I was inspired. But I did come out here and finalize the terraining for the little bit of field in front of this starter base. And my idea here was I did want to keep a sort of nethery, soul sandy flavor to this. So I did leave in some soul soil and soul sand and gravel at the edges, and come in and put some of these more purpley blocks, gray blocks that I feel are in keeping with this particular biome. But the idea too was that, you know, they escaped the overworld from here. They probably would have made some effort to bring in some of the overworld's plant life, and some of it would have worked, some of it would have worked less well. So yeah, so I did bring in the grass and stuff like that, as well as put in some flowers, but trying to keep it to a reduced color scheme compared to what you'll have in the overworld. And yeah, I do realize the flowers, there's no way to farm these in the nether, so maybe that doesn't quite fit my concept. But at least with these ones, what are they called? The torch plants? No, they're the other ones. Let me go look at it. What are you called? Pitcher plants. The pitcher plants. At least these you can actually farm completely in the nether, so that's a consideration. But yeah, so I think I'm pretty happy with what I did here. I did make sure to go and remove all the soul, whichever one this is. Sand? Is this the sand? Yeah, all the soul sand, which slows you down. I did try to remove this because, of course, these are slabs, so you would pick up the slowness from this. I think I probably missed a couple blocks. It's hard to be perfect on this, but it hasn't been bothering me. But yeah, so this whole area I think looks a lot nicer. Of course, I haven't touched this side at all yet, because I will eventually have a build going over here, and I was going to do the terraining after the build was complete. But yeah, I've removed all the slab spam and torch spam, replacing it with things like carpets and more aesthetic looking slabs. And then I think a lot of these are also hiding lights to just make sure nothing can spawn here, or nothing that's going to bother me can spawn here. And yeah, I think this pretty much wraps up the building I was going to do within this episode. Very early on in this series, I did mention how I was hoping that my base would serve as a sort of nether hub, making it easy to get from point A to point B in the overworld by using my pathing system. What I didn't anticipate is that my builds would take quite a while to get going and that people were just not going to be patient enough for that, which of course is totally understandable. But I'm here at my mom's base right now because she was one of the people that wasn't very patient with me. And she did decide to just go ahead and build her own pathing system in the nether. But just coming here through her base to show you guys. So she did devise this tunnel system here to get to the various biomes that she needed to get resources. And people have more or less plugged into this tunnel system in order for easy access from point A to point B in the nether, and that's totally fine. It's totally easier on me if I don't have to worry about it. You can see here this is the tunnel to my sister's base, as well as the ladder upwards towards the nether roof. And I did then just plug into this tunnel myself, building my little hub here, which I can go drop down into where my base area is, and anybody can get here easily this way. And it is this just minecart elevator concept where you're able to just hold right click and get up to wherever you need to go. So that works out pretty well for that, and I did in fact build my own little tunnel here when I needed to get to a swamp biome. So I built this little tunnel here, which leads out to a swamp. But all that to say that given the fact that this tunnel system exists and people are using it and plugging their own bases into it, I'm not going to worry too much now when I'm pathing about point A to point B in the overworld. I'm more concerned with pathfinding within the nether itself. So for example, I did build this path in mind. Of course, this tunnel here is going to lead up to my sister's base and also the nether roof, which is convenient for everybody. But eventually this path, which is incomplete, it leads right into a wall. Eventually this will lead into the nether fortress and the various farms you can find there. And that's the plan, is onwards to just build paths and such that will lead to locations that are useful in the nether itself. And we'll probably, for my own convenience, maybe plug into biomes and whatever I need. Probably plug in with tubes of this nature that just go up into my mom's tunnels up there and allow easy access to the various other places in the server. So that is the plan. Plans change, so we'll see what goes on from there, but that was just to give you an update about the tunnel system that exists above where my base is, and the fact that I'm plugging into it with these types of tubes, sort of basalt canals that lead up into it, and that I am no longer too much concerning myself with travel point A to point B, because that's largely been taken care of by those passages up there. And with all that already constructed, it doesn't really make sense to duplicate that effort. So yeah, so I am enjoying my mom's tunnels. I'm glad she built them because it certainly has been helpful to me, and I'm not complaining that I'm no longer solely responsible for easy access in the nether, but efforts to continue building will progress, and in the next video you'll probably see me start building some actual farms down here now that some of this basic infrastructure has been taken care of, and I have an eye on something that's going to go right in this area here. And this is going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and looking forward to seeing you next time.